So what's up, y'all? It's me, your girl, at K Kenora, and I'm back with another video. I just decided to do a little mukbang, a vegan eating mukbang. So excuse the television. Let me turn the TV and see if I can find something for my son to watch while I do this mukbang.
So I do it. 26 and 1927 date.
Your plan is reduced.
I did not see bounce.
Then have greater discretion in the use of
Just as
building these enormous,
cooking the fish.
To the hall and a huge
Parking spaces as big as
My arm hurt. Okay.
TV presents Love in the 80s and a new
hard being a woman working on your.
it's the shape that
So-
needs the least wax to build.
I wanted to make this video because I can. And
And more honey can be put into storage.
tonight I cooked some organic mashed potatoes, as you can see, with chickpeas and kale. And I got a little bit of garlic in it, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And it is really good. So I decided to do a mukbang. And yeah, so.
Hera approaches the hives from above. There's a lot riding on these homemade rope ladders.
Homemade. Just like these mashed potatoes. This is so good, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. It's just about flavor to me, not even about salt and pepper.
the most danger is when you come over the cliff.
Now that I understand onion powder,
You feel like it's going to be the last day of your life.
and I'm gonna try to eat slow
Finally, Min and Hera make it.
because it's so good.
The honey hunters are precariously hanging in front of the swarm. Under constant
Baby, you need to eat
guides Hera, keeping him focused on the
because he need to be focused on eating. So let me turn this and I'll turn it to something I want to watch. Because he need to be in bed because it's 9 o'clock. It's past his bedtime.
Caliber machine gun.
Oh yeah, about those prescription lenses. Warby Parker
So
glasses
let's see.
custom.
I am going to go to YouTube and I am going to watch my narcissistic videos. My mouth is literally watering for these mashed potatoes. Before I even put them in my mouth like get watery. Come on.
Who's that? The free TurboTax live tax expert.
Why do you need a tax expert?
His advice is free, and I can file for free.
Is my son still independent if he eats my food?
I'm Kyle Kittleson with MedCircle, joined by clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani. Dr. Ramani, wonderful to see you again today.
Thank you so much, Kyle, for having me. It's always so good to see you.
We've heard the term gaslighting, but today we're talking about the differences between intimate and tribal gaslighting. What are the differences between those two?
So when we talk about intimate gaslighting, it's sort of like gaslighting one person at a time. So it doesn't necessarily mean you're in an intimate relationship with them. You could be gaslighted by a parent, you could be gaslighted by a coworker. It's one person gaslighting you at any given time. Now, the term gaslighting itself reflects the intentional denial of another person's reality, or basically, honestly, I'd say the denial of another person's reality. Now, in the most classical example of gaslighting, it's when a person will manipulate the environment in some way and then deny they did it. So a very, very simple example would be, let's say there was a pile of mail on a table, and you took that pile of mail and put it someplace in the house. And then the person said, hey, did you move the pile of letters that were there? And then the person says, no, I didn't move them.
My
So
cups.
that would be an example of the most traditional example.
My
of
radio.
gaslighting, right? So in that case, they did move the pile of letters, they denied doing it, and then the person who is looking for the letters, who originally put them on the table, in that one interaction starts feeling like, oh my gosh, my memory is going. So you see what that's done. Already in just one interaction, the person who was gaslighted doubts themselves.
Right.
Every so often, the person will go, no way, I put the letters there. As long as the gaslighter stands their ground, it can really, really, originally some people say, no, I absolutely put those letters there.
Just get the fuck out, because I know you playing me, bruh.
Say, oh, I'm losing my memory. Now,
The fuck.
let's expand this out. Imagine that the gaslighting is not person to person, but it's many people who are all supporting that twist in reality. I'm going to give you a really dark example of this, Kyle. So let's use it. This is what we tend to see, what happens with tribal gaslighting. Tribal gaslighting can also be family gaslighting. It can be entire workplace gaslighting, any of those things. So in a really sort of painful
Entire
example,
neighborhood.
there was abuse that occurred in the family, okay? And the person like, I know this happened, this abuse happened. And the family throughout the years says, no, that never happened. That never happened to you. So that would be everyone together. Now you can see then how this sort of gaslighting by group or by tribe can be so much more powerful. Because when it's person to person, over time you can still say, nah, that's one, we don't see eye to eye, he's just messing with me. But when it's many people, you're like, well, it can't be that everyone's in on this.
Right.
You'd almost feel paranoid if you believed that. To give you a more subtle example, though, let's say I'm having trouble in my relationship, okay? So I'm in a relationship with someone, people have witnessed it, my partner's being nasty and unempathic and is manipulative and speaks badly to me in public, and it's just not a good scene, right? He's perhaps even cheated on me or lied to me in a significant way. And I'm really having a lot of trouble with this. And I'm talking to my family, and this guy, I'm in a relationship with, has been super generous with my family, has always picked up the check and paid for vacations and, helped out around their house, but is really nasty to me. And I go to my family and say, gosh, we've really hit a rough patch, you've seen it, you've even seen how he talks to me at dinner, and they'll say, we've never had any trouble with him. He seems like a nice guy. You see, it's that, so this is not so much moving the mail or something like that, which we can see. This is more subtle. It's, I've brought my reality to you. I don't know, I'm not sure about him, I'm having a hard time. No, there's nothing wrong with him. He seems like a nice guy to me. Those little subtle statements also are a way that I could be gaslighted by you, a third party, and if all of you were in my family, you and other people, I'd say, maybe they're right. I said, maybe the problem's me. It's easier for me to say it's me than 7 people are wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the difference between the two.
And with this tribal gaslighting, is it more common in the scenario you just outlined in a romantic?
Like I said, I used to believe that if one or more people are saying the same thing, that it was true. I don't believe that no more. 7 people can be lying 7 times. Facts.
relationship where families are coming together, or are there other scenarios like work environments?
Oh, yeah. Work environments are another great example. So work environments get interesting. Many workplaces are no different than our family of origin, where there might be somebody who's in leadership, right? So more of a parental figure, and people are trying to win them over and be the golden child or the favorite child, or there can be triangulation or people gossiping and turning against each other and all of that. So it is very much all the top notes of a family dynamic. So let's say you're the person who's having trouble with the boss. You're struggling, you're finding the boss to be a difficult
You know
woman,
what?
whatever it may be.
When I had my job, my boss actually liked me. It was the motherfuckers that was around me that didn't like me.
And then you go and
He
others on the
literally
team
fought for
say,
me.
Kyle, this is actually a really great place to work. So I don't know what.
And they did anything in their willpower to keep him away from me or me away from him. Real talk.
Your problem is, but we're all really happy, and we don't.
I
see
like
any
my
problem.
boss.
And you're thinking like, and this is a boss who's tyrannical and cruel, but may very well be paying them more or doing something to kind of, or what, and who knows, whatever their issues are, they seem to think by being in the right sided up to the boss, that will help their stars, so they deny.
I actually like my boss. My boss, I felt like my boss actually liked me.
The boss is a good guy or good
But
gal.
I don't feel like he liked it me more than other people. I think that he just had that natural, you know, some people just have that natural spirit where they can treat everybody the same. And I think that he just treated me the same as he treated everybody else. But I think that everybody else really got like really, because Miss Boynton, and I liked Miss Boynton at first because her name was the same as my street name that I lived on. So I liked it, Miss Boynton. But she turned out to be just crazy. Like really crazy. I didn't care if she was gay. I liked her again because she was in the military. My dad was in the military. I gotta stop liking people because they're in the military by my dad. But, you know, like when people are in the military, they have this certain, you know, you have this certain respect for them. You have this certain respect for anybody who goes and fight for me, fight for your country, our country. And so I liked her, but one day she got upset because she wanted me to go home because I came in wearing a mask. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go home because I have a child to feed at home. And I'm not sick. And this is right around the time where the coronavirus hit. Everybody at my job was like getting the flu. And I knew it because the gay boy behind me coughed on me. And I ended up getting sick. And I wasn't going to go home because I wasn't really, really sick. And I wore a mask. I wore that mask to protect them from me. And she wanted me to go home. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go home. And she got really upset with me. Like, really. Like, bitch, you not paying my bills. You're not finna tell me when to go home and when not. And when to stay. Like, no. I got to do what's best for me and my family. I'm a single mother. Like, I need to get my car fixed. I need to do all this stuff. So, it was just, like, crazy. That's how me and her, like, she really stopped. She just had, like, a personal vendetta against me ever since that day. But my boss was cool. It was, like, literally everybody else around me that really wasn't cool. And then for the black people there, this is what I want to say to the black people. Like, stop hating on your people. Like, literally, stop hating on your people. Like, bruh, you motherfuckers, like, hate on your own people. And know damn well, like, if I make it, we make it. Like, that's how I see it. And literally, the black motherfuckers at my job was hating on me more than the white motherfuckers at my job. And that was, like, crazy to me. But anyways, yeah.
No. So it happens in the workplace
I'm almost
all
done.
the time. Or you might feel like, wait a minute, that was my idea. I raised it at the meeting 4 weeks ago. You were all here. It's on the minutes. Look. I'm like, no, you did it. Mary raised the idea. And if everyone in the room says Mary raised the idea, boom, that's exactly what can happen at work.
I can feel the frustration even in the example.
Mhm.
Allow me to play devil's advocate.
Mhm.
Suppose Bridget is the producer at
You
MedCircle,
can't.
a kinder soul on the planet.
I know.
Suppose we hire a new person at MedCircle, and that person comes to me and says, Bridget is just the worst. She's terribly tyrannical. And I go to Bridget, I go, what's going on? And Bridget goes, this is all I've done is asked her to do X, Y, and Z. Now I go back to this person and I say, look, I know you're upset about this, but this is just kind of how it is here. And if you're going to be upset by Bridget asking you to do something, then, this might not be a good workplace for you. I've denied their reality. I feel that they believe Bridget's difficult to work with, but I see no evidence of that from.
Okay. Yeah, so now you're getting into this whole area where gaslighting starts getting very complicated, like, epistemic confirmation. It all draws from philosophy and all of that, which epistemic, so knowledge, epistemology has to do with knowledge, so evidence, really. So in this situation, okay, so the situation you bring forth, that lady says, Bridget's difficult to work with, okay? And the reason she cites Bridget's difficult to work with is because Bridget asked her to do a bunch of things, all right? There's two pieces of information there. Bridget's difficult to work with. Bridget asked me to do many different things. And for that new worker, they're equating the two things, okay? Bridget did give her a lot of things to do, okay? That is the nature of the job. In that person's estimation, Bridget is difficult. I would say to you, Kyle, you have to hold space for her and say, I can see how you think Bridget's difficult. This is the job, okay? And so this is that idea then of dissonance as well. So when the family says, your husband, in the example I gave you, your husband's not difficult, I've had nothing but good experiences with him. They've denied my experience because I experienced my husband as difficult. And yes, they've also had nothing but good experiences with him. They've negated my experience by elevating their experience over it. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that completely. When we find we are being gaslit, let's start with the tribal version.
Yeah.
What do we do?
So in the example you just gave, Kyle, was a very interesting example of the best way to diffuse the gaslighter, which is to keep bringing everything into the light. Let me give you an example, and I'm sorry for spoiling the movie, but the movie came out in 1944, so y'all, if you haven't seen it, you have plenty of time.
I've seen it.
So, the movie Gaslight.
I've seen it.
This is my homework for everyone watching this particular class here. You've got to go, and now you have to go watch the movie Gaslight.
I've
You can
seen
get
it.
on any streaming
I've
service.
seen it when I wasn't even trying to see it.
$50. It's worth every cent. Okay, watch the movie. Now I'm gonna spoil it. But the thing that in the movie Gaslight, the woman's reality is gradually eroded by her husband and other people in the household are in on it. But you know what ends up fixing the gaslight for her? It's very simple. One other person from the outside believed her. That's all it took was one person. One person to say, no, that's real. So in the case I gave of you, of me saying about the husband, the greatest gaslight repellent would have been is if it's tribal gaslighting, that person says, I've had no problem with it, da 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 da. For me to say, listen, that's your experience. My experience is that I am being mistreated. I need you to be here for me. Now this is where it gets really tricky, Kyle, is that if I push that person in my family who's saying, no, your husband's a great guy, and I'm saying, listen, it's not to me. I understand you've had a good experience. I'm not going to deny that. I am not. Please see my perspective. And then my family member says, oh, I can't get involved. I like what I have with him. That's a wake-up call to me to decide what place that gaslighter has in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? You can start losing people once you start recognizing what they're doing to you. I'm not saying you got to toss all the gaslighters out of your life, but you got to be real careful about the information you bring to them. And the story you gave, that was very interesting, because In that experience, there was two things happening: gaslighting and triangulation, right? Bridget's awful. Bridget gives me too much work. Bridget would say, yeah, I do give her a lot of work. It's the job. I told her that would be the job. You then realize that she's equating difficulty with getting too much work. You then could say to her, you know, in helping her with her process, yeah, I get that you're finding Bridget difficult. This job does have a lot of work. She's asking you to do the work. You've now given that person all the information. Had you gone back to that woman and you weren't gaslighting her? But for all of us, the key to being more gaslight resistant is that we have to be willing to hold on to our own reality. That this is what I believe. And what that means is then getting comfortable with stepping back from conversations, reshaping the relationships we've got, or even stepping away from them, in the sense that if you're telling me you don't feel that, you can't feel that,
I
you
do.
use those words with me, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this. And I'm not saying it out loud because there's no point in engaging a gaslighter, to be honest with you. But there's a point at which I say, okay, this person is not in a place in their life, for whatever reason, to be able to hold my reality alongside theirs. This isn't
Hurry
a
up and
healthy
eat so you
space
can
for
get in
me.
bed.
So you can see, Kyle, that this isn't a quick fix. This is a massive shift in how people view human relationships. I absolutely think that two people can have a different experience of something. For example, you
Of
might
course.
think that my emotional reaction to something might be in excess to what it should be to something. And you can say, I hear you. I can hear that this is really, really hard for you. I think that there's different ways we can approach this, but I see that this is upsetting for you, rather than you're overreacting.
Yeah.
Recognize that I can see your reaction and I can see how the two connect. Are there other ways we can think about this? Because when you do that, I no longer feel like I'm a crazy person.
Yeah.
I instead feel like, okay, I'm having a reaction. It's okay for me to have this reaction. The minute you tell me it's okay, I turn it down. But I'm now turning on you, or looking to you to be my turn down the gaslighter. If you tell me you're overreacting, I have to get okay with, this feels like a lot to me, and say, this is my reaction, Kaya. Please don't judge it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people are there? Not a lot.
I feel if I went to my friends and they initially denied my reality and gaslit me,
Mm-hmm.
that if I said, guys, I understand that's your
I
experience.
would stop being their
I'm
friend.
telling you the truth here with my experience that this is happening. My partner yells and screams and treats me off. Do you not believe me? I understand your experience is that, but do not believe me. I think they would all say, no, you're right. We do believe you. It's hard for us to believe, but we believe you. How can we help? Can people who have a tendency to gaslight, can they be talked through that and come out the other side empathic and sympathetic?
Depends. It depends. Kyle, there's a fair number of people out there who gaslight and they don't intend to. We've all done it to someone. This is not like, I'm certainly not walking through the earth saying, oh, I've never done this to anyone. I probably do it on the daily. I think the folks out there that are doing it because it's what we do, it's because we're lazy, it's because we're sloppy, because we're uncomfortable with other people's emotions, that's a group like your friends that can be told the different
Intentionally.
right? It's the people who have more of these difficult personality styles. You're never going to get them to stop gaslighting. They're always going to be stubborn and say,
Intentionally.
no, you're wrong. He's great. He's great to me, and might even be doing it to be vindictive.
Intentionally.
So, again, in the movie Gaslight, that was a great example. It was that, and I actually would love to share with you, and it's a long essay I wrote for a magazine on gaslighting. I'll send that to both you and Bridget if it's something to share, because it's a deep analysis of what gaslighting is, really. Because, Kyle, gaslighting is not a one-off, all right? It's not a one-time experience. It's a multi-time experience. Oh, it's like, we might do this sloppily with somebody. Somebody will tell us a story. We're having a conversation. Oh, Kyle, I think you're overreacting. I don't think he was really.
You're not intending to do that.
Even that's wrong. But it is the kind of thing of, if I've only done that to you once.
You're coming from a good place.
I've been, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I get that.
We can work that one through. It's the people who are being gaslighted on the daily, not
Intentionally.
just things being moved around, but their emotions being devalued. And then what happens is,
Intentionally.
when we're gaslighted, the majority of people tend to turn it back on themselves, saying, "Ah, maybe I am too sensitive, or maybe my memory is going, or maybe I'm not that smart, or maybe I really am a bad cook." Do you see what you've done? Each time you gaslight a person, you diminish them. And what that does is it takes a relationship that was once somewhat equal and it pushes the other person down. That's definitely the narcissist ground game, right? Let me get you down here, I'm going to stay up here, and that's exactly what they want. But if you started in the same position, by
Fuck you.
gaslighting someone, you shove them down.
Yes. I hope you have been finding value in today's mini sessions with our Med Circle doctors. We're going to have more from Dr. Ramani
Fuck.
today, and we're also going to be having a live virtual panel that you can join and ask your questions to our doctors and participate with other members. It'll be a very educational, inspiring time. Use the links below to sign up for tonight's live panel. Dr. Ramani, I want to touch real
That's the
quick
end of that
on
video.
when therapists gaslight. What does this look like, and how can patients be aware of it?
So this is, as you can imagine, a very tricky, sensitive topic, because in the vast majority of cases, it's not what the therapist set out to do. Now, you know, in the Med Circle, family knows that what I do is that I work in a very, very specific and unique area called narcissistic abuse. Of people
Not
who are
my
going through sort of
therapist. That
the
bitch
mental
was trying to
mess of being in a
gaslight me.
relationship
Because that
with
wasn't the
someone
first time the
who
bitch
gaslights
did
them,
it.
but
You
manipulation
understand?
another way
It took me a little
validates
couple of
them.
months to figure out what the bitch was
There's
doing.
a real
But I finally
temptation
figured
to
it out.
say, well, did you hear their point of view? Or, well, is it really that bad? Or, and in doing that,
She said all
the
that
survivor
too.
of a person, anyone who survived a narcissistic relationship has already done a number on themselves before they've gotten to the therapist's office. But this is bigger than this, because when we look at the core of what treatment of trauma is, one of the core pillars of trauma-informed treatment and therapy is validation. To validate the survivor's experience, because one of the most confusing elements of trauma is the confusion. It's the confusion. What just happened? It's the shame.
Invalidation.
It's the second guessing. It's the self-doubt. It's even the self-blame. It's all very much a
Oh,
part of
yeah.
a post-traumatic picture. It's part of a narcissistically abusive picture. And so the therapist's job, above
I
all
love
else,
her.
is to validate. And so one of the dangers, because like I said, all of us as people, we gaslight. We don't mean to, but we do it here and there. Therapist is a human being. And so it's very, very
She
important
intentionally did it.
that when a client brings something in, that we hear it in their time
Kenna?
and space. Like, and when
Kenna?
we receive their story,
From Spectre
we
Care
receive it
and
in a
Dothan.
validating way.
Kenna?
And that's not to
She
say
intentionally
that
did.
when my client says they're doing something irresponsible or unhealthy or infringing on someone's rights,
Her name
they
is
think they're
spelled
doing something that's not good. I don't say,
Kenna.
I can't let you
And
have to do that.
literally, I told
would
her
say
from
to them,
Jump Street
that's
that
not okay.
I apologize
That's
for
not okay.
saying your name wrong, because it was like Keena. And I know a person that I grew up with named Keena, so I would call her Keena because her name is spelled Kenna. And she would pretend like it didn't bother her, but the way she acted,
You hold space with their feeling, or for their feeling, and you say, I am hearing that you're incredibly upset that your partner showed up 3 minutes late for your